Hello, everybody. It is Friday Live with Fiona Lukey's. Today's Friday, July 22nd. Can you believe that? I can't believe we're almost in August. But Friday Live Q&A, where I go live every Friday to answer any questions you may have around life or relationships. So I want to wish any of you who have just joined me live, and I can see a few people coming online now. Hello, everybody, and welcome to today's live Q&A on Friday, July 22nd. Got a couple of awesome things that I want to share with you today. Hey, Vidya. Hello, darling. Thank you for saying hello. I do love it when people say hi to me and let me know where they are listening from in the world, where you are, where you're listening from. It's an absolutely gloriously gorgeous winter's day here in Melbourne. Beautiful, 17 degrees Celsius, which is amazing for Melbourne in winter. The sky is blue. I was actually sitting out on my deck just before, lapping up the sunshine, and it's just magnificent, absolutely magnificent. So I don't know what it is about blue sky and sunshine, but always seems to lift my spirits. And so I am, beautiful day. So I'm very grateful and excited for that. Let's see if that gives me a little bit of an extra oomph with you guys today. Hi, Angela, you're from Pennsylvania. Wow, hello. What time is it? I'm curious. What time is it in Pennsylvania at the moment? I would love to know. Hey, Tanya. Hello. Hi, Deezer. Hey, Susan. Hello, everybody. So I do love you guys saying hello to me. I was just sitting outside before, and I'm gonna show you something that I'm so excited about. I ordered myself an electronic notebook. 10 p.m. Okay, wow. Okay, 10 p.m. for you. All right, it's late there for you. Well, thanks for being up and about for my live today. I just opened I swear to God, I got this in the mail last night and I didn't have a chance to open it. I've just ordered myself an electronic notebook, and it is, I swear, the sexiest thing ever. It is so divine. So I'm just going to show it to you. It is, see it right here. This is where I'm going to keep all of my client notes, where I'm going to keep the notes for the book that I'm in the middle of writing. I'm going to transfer everything over here. Look at this thing. It is so lightweight. It is like a little notebook, and this pen, it's the coolest thing ever. This pen is literally like a pen. So you write on this, and hang on, I've got it on erase. Let me put it on pen. It has just been the most, I've been playing around with it in the last hour. I am so excited. I can't wait to, anyway, I've got to change it from erase to pen. There it is. So you can it is so responsive. Look at that. It doesn't matter how quickly the letters come up straight on there. So when I'm with my clients and I'm making notes, as I always do, that I refer back to, I've got this amazing I'm so excited. I just wanted to share it with you guys. I'm going to be playing with that later on tonight when I finish work. Anyway, I digress. So if you've just joined, please say hi and let me know where you're listening from. These Q&As are really all about answering any questions that you have, because I know some of you find me through my podcast, some of you find me through my ebook, some of you find me through referrals, etc. And so I know because I am looking in a very different direction to how we traditionally approach relationships, how we traditionally deal with overthinking, mental illness, those kind of things, that some of you will have questions. And, this is what these Q&As are about, is to giving you an opportunity to ask those questions and have those questions answered. Now, I have had a bit of a theme with what I want to talk to you about today. So it's always fascinating to me how themes show up. So often I will talk about something that's come up in my private client work or with the students in my Relatable program. And I know, Tanya, seriously, an improvement on the 500 bits of paper. It's called Supernote. For any of you who are thinking about getting an electronic notebook, I'm the same. I've got pieces of paper and notebooks and everything everywhere. I'm serious. I've done my research. Supernote is the one to get. It is amazing. It is literally like writing on a piece of paper. I'm so excited. So I will share with you how that goes. But you can put all your files in one area. You can upload it to Google Drive. It's amazing. I'm so excited. So yeah. Oh, hi, Bronwyn. You're watching from the US. Hello. Thanks for saying hi. I really appreciate that. So this is very much, your opportunity to ask questions. This is your time. Okay. So no question is too big or too small. And like I said before, I generally find that there's a theme with the things that come up in my client work. So I get to share that with you guys, because I find that if there's a theme, so a few people are talking or asking around the same thing, then that's something that's generally on the mind of the collective consciousness. I do find that is the case. So if I see something that I feel is on the mind of the collective consciousness, I will bring it to my Friday lives. Now, the thing that has been on my mind, or on the mind of the students and my private clients this week, has been with people been asking me a lot about forgiveness. Really, really interesting, because I think forgiveness is one of the most misunderstood things. It truly, truly is. And so because it's so misunderstood, people can get very, very stuck and caught up there. And so I want to talk about this, because this is obviously a really big thing in our relationships, in how we move forward, in how we create that amazing goodwill that I talk about a lot, in how deeply we connect and listen. And so, people who have not truly forgiven something or someone have pay a price for that I don't know they realize they're paying. And for obviously, when we're stuck in something, it's something that goes round and round and round in our head, whether it be a conversation that we've had recently, whether it be a difference of opinion, whether it be a feeling of hurt. When we're not able to put that down, it's very hard for you to be present. It's very hard for you to feel connected and grounded. It's very hard for you to have a sense of self, because you're constantly being distracted by where your thinking is going, where your ego judgmental mind is going, how justified you feel, and you get very distracted by that. So it's harder for you to be present. It's harder for you to feel good. Okay. Now, don't hear this as right or wrong. Whenever I'm talking about this, forgiveness whenever I'm talking about anything, it's never in terms of right or wrong. We've got to stop seeing things in that kind of form of duality where it's either this or this. I'm talking about something that kind of is a higher level than that. Right, wrong, good, bad's kind of low level stuff. It's not the space we want to be playing at. Okay. You want to be playing at a higher level. And when I say higher level, a more philosophical level, a higher frequency, a level of openness, a level of understanding, compassion, wisdom, curiosity. This is a space that's available to everybody. And when you get a sense of it, when you step into it, when you connect with it, it's this amazing, expansive feeling. And it's available to all of us, irrespective of what we're dealing with. And so that's kind of what I'm pointing to. So when I talk about feeling stuck or going round and round in your mind or head, it doesn't mean that if you are there, that there's something wrong with that or you're doing something wrong. It's just that we often can't see the price we're paying. We often can't see the toll that it takes on our levels of resilience and our levels of joy, well-being, and connection. Okay. So I've had a few people email me this week and say, Fiona, how do you know when you have forgiven someone or something? And I think it's a really, really great question. All right. Now, there's the simplest answer I can give you around that, especially if you're someone who's struggling with something that someone has said and done, and there's all sorts of things that people have got going on around that. Maybe you're someone you know has had an affair. Maybe you've got an in-law that's overstepped the bounds with your children. Maybe you've got a work colleague that has taken credit for your work. Maybe you've got a boss that doesn't appreciate you. Maybe whatever that might be. Hi, Leanne. Hi, Carol. Hi, everyone. So love everyone saying hi. Thank you. And if you've just tuned in, feel free to say hi. I'm talking about forgiveness. If there is a question that you would like answered, please post it in the comments section below and I will answer that for you. All right. So the question is, how do you know when you have forgiven someone? And there's the simplest answer I can give you is by the feeling you are in. So let's just say I want to keep this kind of semi-neutral for now, okay? Because people will have a lot of yeah buts around this, okay? And if you are yeah butting what I'm saying, it's all good, but just try and put that to one side, because it's going to prevent you from really hearing and allowing what I'm saying to land for you, all right? You can pick up your yeah buts at the end. They're always going to be there waiting for you. So let's just say you've been out all day. You've been out to you've been out with your partner, you've gone out for dinner, maybe you've gone to see a play, you've been to the theater, you've had a great night out, you've had a really good time, and you've really enjoyed each other. And in the car on the way home, let's just say you start talking about something that you can be where the conversation can get a little bit heated, and maybe you're talking about the fact that you don't feel like there's enough, it's not equal enough at home, that maybe one of you is doing more than the other, and you're trying to explain that, and the other person isn't listening. They're kind of shut down a little bit. Maybe they're sort of saying to you, look, I don't agree with you. I do this, this, and this, and you do that, that, and that. And it ends up in a competition, which is often what happens in these situations when people aren't listening. The conversation turns into a competition. Well, you don't know what I do here, but you don't know what I do there. And people are just competing against each other. And then from that place, the conversation goes nowhere. All right. And so you've just had this really great night out, and you're in the car, and you have a blow up about that, or whatever it might be. Okay. And you start driving home, and the mind starts going, yeah, this is typical. We've just spent all this money on a babysitter. We've just had this really great night out. And yet here we go. Now it's all ruined. Everything's ruined. This is what happens with us. I mean, we have a good time sometimes, but then eventually at some point, somehow, it always ends up at this place. This is just typical of us. This is what we always do. This is where we always end up. I'm so over it, right? You might have that going round and round in your head. And the person sitting next to you is going, oh my God, they're always so full on. Why can't they just chill out and relax? Why do we have to dissect everything? To talk about everything? I mean, we've just had a really great night. Why does it have to end up in some intense, heavy conversation? I don't understand this. They do this every time. And so you're driving home, and you're each in your own little reality around that. And this is what's going round and round and round in your head. Okay? Or words to that effect. Now, this happens whether you're male or female. So, you might be sitting there going, oh, that's typical of females. That's typical of men. Not at all. This is just humans. All right. Think of this in terms of human beings. So you're driving home and you're doing that. You get home, you slam the door, you walk inside. Nobody holds the door up for one another. You throw your keys on the hall table. And you go and check on the kids, maybe deal with the babysitter, etc. And it's all a bit heavy, and it's all a bit tense, and people are getting more and more worked up. Okay, so I'm painting a scenario of a situation. Now, how do you know when you've forgiven someone? Is because you are in the feeling you are in. Okay, you're in the feeling you were in before that fight happened. So let's go back to you're out at dinner, maybe you've gone to the theater, you've had a really great night out, you're laughing, you're connecting, you're going, oh, this is awesome. So in this really great feeling. Okay, then you have okay. Now, how do you know you've forgiven someone? Well, you know you've forgiven someone when you are in the feeling. So you're experiencing the feeling you were in before that happened. That's how you know. See, the amazing thing about feelings, and I talk about this a lot in my program Relatable, and I talk about this a lot with my private clients because we don't understand the way feelings work, is your feelings are the most amazing and accurate inner guidance system as to where you are. Okay? They don't lie. So if you've truly forgiven someone, you will be in the feeling you were in before your feeling got contaminated by that argument, before your feeling got contaminated by the situation, by whatever happened. That's how you know when you have forgiven someone. Okay? It's got nothing to do with the pros and cons list that you're drawing up in your head. That is not it. Okay? It'll be the feeling you're in. And I think what is so amazing is, and I really notice this with my husband, that, we get over things so quickly. Forgiveness is one of those things. It just happens because we know how good it feels to be in that feeling. We know how important goodwill and connection is. And, the quicker I get back there, the quicker we can pick up from where we left off. Now, I know some of you might be sitting there thinking, but hey, what about that argument that didn't get resolved? What about that thing that you haven't talked about? And all I'm going to say to you is, it's quite interesting. As our mind clears, as we get clarity of mind, we often look at that perceived problem or issue differently. We always do. It's quite fascinating how it happens. And if you don't have the understanding I'm teaching right now, you might be thinking, yeah, but I don't get it. The people who've been through my program or understand this know what I'm talking about. As your mind clears, as you see things differently, so does the way the problem looks. The problem starts to look different. When we're in an upset mind, a problem looks one way. When we're in a calm down, freer mind, a problem looks completely different. That is the fascinating thing about it. Okay. So, I always say to people, as you're moving through something with someone, you want to make sure your mind is clear, because then you're actually seeing the problem in the healthiest way possible. That's very important. And you want to be able to talk about something when you are in a freer mind. So if you feel like, the situation calms down, you're feeling calmer, you look at the problem and you go, actually, it's not that big a deal. I overreacted. It doesn't matter that much to me. Then what happens is you've got this capacity to move forward, knowing that when you've let something go, because you're in the feeling you were in before the situation, before you were in that, before your feeling got contaminated by that situation. Okay. Or by the thinking you have, by your experience. Let's just say by your experience. Now, if you still feel that there's something that you want to talk about, what you're going to do is you're going to do so when your mind is clear. Because when you do that, when your mind is clear, it is a completely different conversation. It's a very different connection. It's a very different reality. And so this is how forgiveness works. Okay. It's about your ability, okay, to put something down, be in the feeling you were in before the incident happened, and then connect from there. Now, that might sound to some of you impossible, and let me tell you, it is not. I see this each and every day with my clients and the students in my Relatable program, when they get to realize how possible that actually is and how freeing it is. Because the whole thing about forgiveness is not so much about condoning someone else's behavior, right? It's not about condoning someone else's behavior. It's not about compromising yourself or your values. That's a complete and utter misnomer. Okay. This is about transcending something and then seeing it from a completely different reality. And when you do, your experience of it completely changes. Okay. It really, really does. So I'm just going to check in to see if this is making sense. Hey, Leanne. Thanks for your comment, honey. That's so true. It's incredible how quickly your feelings can shift when you have the understanding, love your work fee. It's simple and incredible. Yes, absolutely, Leanne. Yes, of course, right? You know what I'm pointing to here. This is what's on offer for us all. Okay? This is what's on offer for us all, irrespective of what has happened in your past. You are able, this is about you setting yourself free. Okay. It's not about condoning or making someone else's behavior okay. It's about you setting yourself free. Because when you are caught up in the overthinking and the upset and the residualness, okay, of an experience or a situation or a person's behavior, you are the one stuck in that experience. And you go round and round and round and round, and it takes away your quality of life, your level of resilience, your ability to be present, your levels of joy, well-being, clarity of mind, so important. It detracts from your ability to operate in the now, which is where we do our best work and where we are at our happiest and healthiest mentally, emotionally, and spiritually. So, when you start to realize that, you start to realize that this is the price you're paying. And, it looks like, and this is the other misnomer that I want to point out, because I got caught up in this one big time, guys, big time. It looks like, all right, when we're caught up in upset around something, it looks like the only way we can set ourselves free is if the other person understands and sees our point of view. If the other person agrees with us or other people, okay? Now, when you do that, and again, there's an innocence in that misunderstanding. Hey, Susan, making sense? Awesome. Great. Thanks for sharing. Love to hear that. That's great. And if anyone else has got any feedback on what I'm saying, I'd love to hear it. Or a question. When you think that the only way you can forgive or the only way you can let go is based on whether someone else agrees, understands, or apologizes, okay? Please understand you are outsourcing your well-being, okay? You are outsourcing your well-being. Now, whenever you outsource your well-being, you are going to feel disempowered, because what you're saying now is my well-being is the responsibility of someone else. Now, when you do that, life just gets trickier. Okay, this is why it's so important for you to understand what is available, and the power of this, which is at your fingertips, so that you can get your sense of power back, your sense of sovereignty, okay, your sense of self, that groundedness, that calm, because that all of those things lead to this incredible sense of internal peace and calm. Okay, it really does. And when you do that, you have more bandwidth for life, of so many things. And I often hear people saying this to me: I'm so proud of how I just handled that, Fiona. Wow, I never knew I was capable of that. I'm really proud of myself. It feels good to see things this way, to truly put things down, to no longer have all this residue that I'm dragging around me like a ball and chain that was just sucking the life out of me, to not be going round and round and round in my head, to be able to show up the way I've always dreamed of truly wanting to show up if I was honest with myself. Okay. And so people, this is how you get this greater sense of self, and you get this feeling of empowerment and resilience. All right, this is very important, because when you can't put something down, when you can't forgive, when you're stuck in that cycle of it's unfair, how could they, I would never do that, right? I don't understand, because I would never do that, how could they, it's so unfair, who does that, that is so just this, that is so that, that is so. When you're caught up in all of that, you've got to understand the price that you're paying. Okay, you've got to understand the price that you're paying. Um, Vidya, how does this work in the context of several issues stacking up? Well, it's the same thing, honey. It's all about you being able to come from the clearest mind possible with which to handle them, to have the clearest mind possible with which to see them, so that you've got a sense of being able to look at what is truly there from the healthiest thinking available to you, from the healthiest reality possible. Okay, this is very, very, very important. So it doesn't matter how many issues it is still the same. Okay, the foundation of what I'm saying is still the same, and it's still, the context is still the same. That this is about you setting yourself free. Okay, because there's an incredible amount of freedom when you can put something down. I mean, those of you who know, I left my older boy's father, and it was a very abusive situation a long, long time ago now. And I can tell you right now, I had so much anger and upset, and I would go round and round in my head. And I was in that state of exactly what I was just describing to you guys. I would never have done this. How could they do that? Who does that to someone? This is so unfair. How did I end up here? And I would go round and round and round in my head constantly. And I was constantly, and I realized, it took me a long time, but I realized one day, I am waiting for that person to acknowledge what they've done. I am waiting for that person to say sorry. I am waiting. It's like I'm in a holding pattern with myself. And I realized one day that is never going to happen, Fiona. It is never going to happen. So how do you get your freedom back? How do you start to feel empowered and present and grounded and all of those things that you're looking for? And, luckily for me, I was able to come across something that has completely changed how I operate, how I see everything. I have so much peace over that situation and that person now. Like, I've got nothing on it, nothing. It is the most freeing feeling. It's the most amazing feeling, because I know I can get over anything. I know how to get over myself. I know that the true what is on offer when it comes to forgiveness, what that means, how to access it, and what it's meant in my marriage is that there's this softening with my husband and I instead of a hardening. See, when people have problems or issues that they don't let go of and they can't forgive and they keep reliving it, they become harder and harder and harder internally. Okay? They do. There's a hardness that develops inside you. And so, what does that mean? It means that you are less patient, you're more judgmental. It is easier for you to feel resentful. You'll justify yourself very, very quickly. You'll be very sped up internally. And there'll be this rigidity. Now, whether you're aware of it or not, you start putting that out into the world, and people start changing the way they show up to you because they don't feel so comfortable. People start feeling uncomfortable and they don't really know why. Okay? And as people feel uncomfortable, you start to feel uncomfortable because you know there's something's not quite right. And so your mind speeds up again and again, and we lose the ability to actually realize where that's coming from and what we're doing to contribute to it. So there's an incredible amount of freedom in forgiveness on so many levels in your life. It's hard to quantify. Okay, it really is. Vidya, that makes sense. Awesome. Glad to hear it. Hi, Eva. Hello, Eva from Greece. So lovely to for you to drop on by, because if you're in Europe, that it is very, very either late at night or early in the morning for you. So I'm impressed that you're even joining us live, honey. I really, really am. So thank you for saying hi. So for anybody else who's just tuned in, I'm talking about forgiveness. I'm talking about, and I've had a few questions come in asking me about it this week, and I know that it's a big thing that trips people up. It really, really does, because we misunderstand what is on offer when it comes to forgiveness. We really misunderstand what is on offer. We think that it's about condoning someone else's behavior, and actually the opposite is true. This is about setting yourself free. And if you're not sure of what I mean by setting yourself free, I've explained that over the last, little while of the live. So feel free to go back and listen to that when I finished. But does anyone have any questions around what I'm saying? Is this resonating with you? I know it is with some of you, which is awesome. Maybe there's a situation in your life where you haven't been able to forgive, where you haven't been able to let go. Now, here's another way in which a lack of forgiveness, okay, impacts our lives. So here, 5:30 here. Wow, Eva, that is really early. Well, I'm very impressed, honey, that you're up listening at 5:30 in the morning. So you can see that I'll come to your question in a minute, Bronwyn. Really great question. You can see, okay, that when you're holding on to something, how it affects a relationship. But there are also people who haven't forgiven life. Okay, so there's a couple of areas where forgiveness is really important. There's forgiveness of others, there's forgiveness of yourself, and there's forgiveness of life. Okay, so some people don't forgive themselves for for hurting someone, or making a mistake, or doing or saying something that's not so great, right? Or what I would call for making a mess, and they beat themselves up and beat themselves up and beat themselves up, right? So that also gets you stuck, really, really stuck, and takes away from your quality of life. So forgiveness is very, very important in setting yourself free, whether you need to forgive yourself or whether you are needing to forgive somebody else. But then there's also the forgiveness of life. So people who don't forgive life, as they age, as they get older, they're less open to taking risks. They become more addicted to certainty. They want everything to stay the same. Okay. And so their worlds tend to shrink. And it's so fascinating because we see this as a natural part of aging, but it's not. Okay. It's really not. That's not a natural part of aging. There are many people out there that as they get older, they become more expansive, and they'll just give anything a go and try new things because it's like, why not? Life's short. Let's do it. And then there are those people who've been hurt or burnt or taken advantage of, or something's happened where they're going, well, I won't do that again. I've got to be careful. I won't do that again. So the world shrinks, okay, and gets smaller and smaller and smaller, and everything becomes more and more and more rigid. And when your world starts to shrink and becomes more and more rigid, life is not fun. It's not. Life is very serious. Life becomes really controlling. There's not a lot of room for you to be joyful and to let go and playful and lighthearted, which is so important for our own sense of self, our mental, emotional, and spiritual being. And it's also so important for our relationships. Okay, when you get serious and rigid, life becomes far, far less enjoyable. And so there is also that element of being able to forgive life. Very, very important. Bronwyn, do you have suggestions for living with a partner who has hardness and built up anger? Well, it depends on what you're trying to achieve, Bronwyn. But I would suggest, if you have a partner that has that hardness, okay, and when they have a lot of built up anger, it's really important to have compassion for them, because that's a really painful place to live. Okay. And I would suggest if they've got a lot of hardness and built up anger, then and you're experiencing that, then there's probably not a high level of goodwill between the two of you. And so what you want to be concentrating on is building up goodwill, because goodwill creates good feelings. And when people feel good, they soften. Okay. You can't be in a feeling of goodwill and hardness at the same time. It doesn't work that way. Okay. So as they soften, as the level of goodwill lifts, they soften because one follows the other. It's just how it works. So I hope that helps, Bronwyn. Leanne, forgiveness is very different from bottling or bearing the pain. Absolutely. Not even on the same, not the same thing at all. No, 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 no. Pushing something down, trying to ignore it, trying to distract yourself. No, no, no. Forgiveness has a lightness to it. Okay. It's very freeing. Very, very, very freeing. Okay. Very, very, very freeing. Again, like you say, the feeling of calm, peace, joy is our guide. We know when we are home centered. Yes. Hi, understand the benefit of forgiving, but how do you do it? Achieve success with it? Well, I guess, look, that's a great question, Anne. Um, a really great question. I'll show some of these comments on the screen. I think really, and that's where it comes back down to, and I'm going to come back to the basis of everything that I teach. It's like when you have an understanding of how we work as human beings, okay, you start to relate to and see other people and their actions very, very, very differently. Okay, you really do, because we, instead of coming from judgment and anger, we come from understanding. And as you understand something, the upset drops. You know, when understanding is high, conflict is low. True. When understanding is high, conflict is low. And so it's about how deeply you understand how we work. Because the more you understand that, and this is everything that I teach step by step in my 8-week program, Relatable, and I teach it with my private clients, that when you have this understanding of how we work as human beings, how we create our reality, where our experience comes from, you start looking in a different place to the one you're looking at now, because people who are struggling to forgive are spending a lot of time in their analytical mind, in their analytical ego mind. And they don't understand that your analytical ego mind is not where you're going to find what you're looking for. Okay, there's a whole other way of experiencing this, of relating to this, and bringing something completely different to the table that has this beautiful ripple effect outwards everywhere we go. So how do you achieve success with it? I've got to say, and it's too, I can't teach that in a 20-minute live. I just can't. It needs time and understanding, because it's your depth of understanding that is the leverage point for that, right? It's your depth of understanding that is the leverage point for change. It's your depth of understanding that's your leverage point for forgiveness. It's your depth of understanding that's your leverage point for connection. So, this is why I say to people, when you have this in your life, you can draw from it in a myriad of ways, in ways that you can't even imagine. It shows up in so many different ways. I draw from this in so many areas and aspects of my life, each and every day. And it never gets old or cold. It's just something that I see more deeply the more I look. So if that's something that you really, really want to know more about, and I know a lot of you ask, and there are definitely people on this thread now who've done Relatable, who understand what I'm talking about, and you're more than welcome to ask them if that has been something that's been pivotal in helping them achieve what I'm referring to here. I'll put the link for Relatable here. Okay, Leanne, Relatable courses honestly changed my life. My head is not racing, the overthinking, the negative spirals. I'm calm. I'm loving differently. Oh, that's so good to hear, Leanne. Awesome. Thank you so much for sharing that, honey. And this is, don't think that Leanne is a fluke either, because I'm talking about something for those of you who are skeptical, and I know many of you are, and I understand I was too, okay? Nothing wrong with some healthy skepticism. But for those of you who are sitting there thinking, oh, this sounds good, but I don't know, I've tried so many things and they haven't really worked, and I don't know about this. I mean, would it work for me? The answer is yes, it will. How can I be so confident in saying that? Because I'm describing something that is true for all human beings, okay? All human beings. Yeah, Leanne, I started this course a month ago. So this is the change that Leanne has seen in 1 month. Okay. This is very, very, very common because as you learn this understanding, you learn how to navigate your thinking differently. You learn how to navigate your emotions differently. You start to see things, you start to let things go and put things down. That's right. It makes things that were complicated simple. We make things super complicated. This is simplifying things, and simplicity is very freeing. Okay. You don't need to analyze and think so much through the lens of simplicity. Okay. The simplest things are the most profound, always. A sunset, the way a child smiles, the smell of freshly baked bread, the sound of rain. The simplest things are the most profound. These are the things that move us. And when we are moved, when we are touched by life, it is amazing how expansive we are. And as we become expansive, it doesn't make sense to hold on to something. It makes no sense. And so things that you were doing before stop making sense. So it's easier for you to create the change that you're looking for your mind to slow down, for you to stop overthinking everything. The need to do that stops. You're more patient with the people around you. You're calmer, grounded. Okay? Because I'm teaching you something that's true for all human beings. Okay? I'm teaching you something that is true for all human beings. And when we look in the direction of truth, okay, we calm down. We do because it resonates. It makes sense. We go, oh, yeah, I get that. That makes so much sense. Of course, that's how it works. It's so obvious. It's what people say to me all the time. It's so obvious. I can't believe I haven't seen it before. Okay? Simple, easy, obvious. Yes, this is very true, Vidya. I agree. Forgiveness allows you to see the innocence in yourself and others, 100%. And as you start seeing the innocence in people, oh boy, that feels amazing. It's very freeing. The feeling alone, okay, it's just this wonderful thing that ripples out everywhere in your life. It really is. So okay, everybody. Well, I've been talking for 36 minutes. Boy, oh boy. Okay, everyone. I really want to thank you for tuning in and listening to today's live. I really hope it's been helpful. If you've just tuned in, I've just been talking about forgiveness and what's on offer and how you know when you've truly forgiven someone. It's something that's come up a lot in my client work this week. So I wanted to share that with you guys. If you have a question that you would like me to answer for you live, send it to hello@fionalukis.com.au and I will answer it for you. If you want to know more about my Relatable program, I have put the link in here. The understanding that I'm referring to and talking about is in that program step by step. Okay, so if you want to join our Relatable family, it's the most beautiful group of people. We'd love to have you. You can find that all about that on the link in the comments thread. All right, everybody. Hey, Jano, nice to see you. Thanks for saying hi. My pleasure as always. I hope this has been helpful, and I will see you next week. Ciao.